well, I wish him like a super, super fast recovery, and hopefully everything will be in the past very soon.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I really do, because man, I do appreciate that. I see we have people jumping on the line, so hello. Happy Friday.
Yes.
Thank God, right? I am very happy to be here. And so I'm really just happy to have everyone here. Let us know where you're calling in from. How are you doing? Because, it's been quite a week. It's like whenever you have stuff going on, which is also why this topic is so perfect, but whenever you have stuff going on, it's like trying to focus on work and do everything that is going on with work and getting back into the groove is very, very difficult.
Oh yeah. I agree, 100%.
Um, Perfect. Give me just 1 second. And I am just going to give us another minute or so. Hello, Paulina. I don't know if that's your first name or not.
Yeah, that's my first name.
Oh, hello, Paulina. It's so lovely to see you.
Nice to meet you too. You guys do such a great job. Yesterday, I've done your mock interview event. That was really cool. I met 4 girls that I've talked to directly, and it was just super nice.
I am so happy that you enjoyed. Yes, being yesterday we did this interview. It was our first trial kind of with this like open networking event. And so Alina was there, and I'm really happy that you were there and that you enjoyed, because we're definitely going to be doing more of those. And I think in this day and age with all of these webinars, all this virtual stuff going on, all these chat and learns, it's really nice to be able to go beyond that and connect.
Totally.
100%.
So I'm really happy that you agreed. Oh, and don't worry, Noreen, don't worry. We will have more. So, and there'll be more fun, and we're going to be doing like daily icebreaker events that are networking events too, which aren't on Zoom. So don't worry, there will be tons of stuff coming up. And so with that, just give me 1 second. I'm just going to go live on YouTube as we're now live streaming to the platform.
Cool.
All right, and then I'm just going to share my screen. Let me just make sure I have everything up. Thanks for bearing with me in these, little bit of technical. Gotta love all the technical stuff. Perfect. And so I'm just gonna hit record, and then we are ready to go. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever you are in the world. We are always so delighted to have you here. And I know I speak for myself and probably a lot of other people when I say it is Friday. Thank God we made it through another week. Oh, can't wait for the weekend. Not going to do much because, COVID's got me very limited, but it's okay because the weekend is here. I could, sleep a little bit longer. So that's always nice. And so I am so happy and excited to be here today with Sabine, because she is fantastic and she's such a great speaker and such a calming person to have come talk about managing work conflicts. And so, without taking too much of the mic from her, I'm just going to go over a little bit of housekeeping, and then, we'll dive right into Sabine and her introduction and get right into some of these pre-submitted questions. And so, we are recording this. This is going to be live on the platform and live on YouTube. So, in the case that you don't want to show up on any of these platforms, it is totally fine. I just recommend that you stay off of mute, and then you won't show up because during these recorded chats and everything, the only people that pop up are the people who are speaking on the screen. And then additionally, if you have any, questions, comments, anything you want to ask, you can feel free to come off of mute if that's not an issue for you, what I said previously. And if you don't want to come off of mute and you just want to ask a question to Sabine, feel free to write in the chat, and I'll be happy to, moderate that and facilitate that with her. And this is recorded, so you will get a rewatch email. Thanks for accepting me in all of my little bit of craziness this morning. But without further ado, I'm so excited to introduce Sabine Syed, and I hope I said that correctly because that is very important to me. And she is an engineering manager at HashiCorp, and she is also one of our mentors at Power to Fly with our mentorship program. So with that, I'm going to hand it right over to you, Sabine.
Thank you. Thanks for that really lavish introduction. I appreciate that. But yeah, I'm Sabine Sayed. I currently work at HashiCorp as an engineering manager. I've been working here for now 6 months, so accomplishment, woohoo, made it half a year. And yeah, before that, I was working at another company. Had been working as an engineering manager for about 4 years there, and then before that, an IC, a software engineer. So yes, I'm here today to talk to you about managing work conflicts, and especially in this time during COVID. I feel like everybody's stressed out in their own different ways, and just being able to manage that. And I feel like the probability of a conflict occurring is a little bit more these days. So trying to get ahead of that is something I think that's helpful for everybody, so that those conflicts ideally don't occur as much. But if they do, just some kind of tips and tricks to help out, and what has helped me during this time.
Thank you. And as we were talking offline before the chat, kicking it off, have you noticed that people are kind of at higher levels of stress now with thinking about, at least in the US, sending your kids back to school and everything that's surrounding that? Have you noticed a peak of more stress now, or, when the whole pandemic kind of started?
Totally. I feel like not just in my team, in my wider organization, I feel like everybody, whether they're a parent, whether they have a partner at home, whether they're single, whatever situation they're in, I feel like there's definitely a level of stress, and everybody's feeling it differently. So I've definitely seen that, and I think sometimes people don't even see it themselves. Sometimes, they'll be going through it and they'll just be like, yeah, like, it's all good. And then like, it kind of hits them like, wait a minute, like, things are so different. And, I'm not taking as much time off. So, just that continuous work. I think that kind of piles up. But yeah, definitely feel a change.
And it's interesting that you say that, and I totally agree, because maybe even while you're not noticing it, we had a chat earlier this week about self-care, and one of the questions that came up was, how can you notice that somebody around you needs help related to kids and taking care of themselves? And the speaker Ishwan, what she said was, if you notice that they're not themselves or you're not yourself, that is an indicator that you need to take some time for yourself and regroup. And so, with that, how have you experienced, managing work conflicts and being able to say to somebody, hey, I don't think, you're yourself. I feel like you're dealing with a lot of stress. How have you managed to, navigate that without insulting anyone or offending anyone, as they might not realize that they're stressed?
Yeah. So one of the things that I do, and this is more specific to my team, so in every one-on-one that I have, I started off with a 1 to 5 scale. So I asked them specifically 1 to 5, how are you doing? Not only at work, but also outside of work. So like 1 would be not doing okay at work. I don't feel like I'm valued. Outside of work, also things are not going well. 5 is like, I'm flying high, kicking it at work, and home is, or like outside of work, is amazing. So I feel like that scale, it helps folks to like think about, okay, where am I at? And, and I emphasize on both outside of work and inside work. And that also kind of sparks up a conversation about, if they say something like, okay, 3.5, then I'm like, all right, okay, like, let's talk about it. Like, how's like work stuff going? How's outside of work going? And I think just asking that question of, how are you doing, especially outside of work, is something that I try and I ask, and I think that really helps them think about it as well. And giving a number, I think that, like normally nobody says like 5, like it kind of, it really helps for me to extract that information. So, and then from there, we can take it and see what's going on.
Yes, totally. And Noreen dropped in the chat that this is a great tip. And, one of the other things that somebody has mentioned, and I do want to start this on my team, I just keep forgetting to do it, but is also the green light, yellow light, red light method. So, green, I'm good to go. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Yellow, I might be struggling a little bit with work because I've got stuff going on. And red, like I really can't focus on anything I'm doing right now because I've got a lot of personal stuff. Because, I think in this time, while it's given a lot of visibility to what everyone's dealing with, whether it being homeschooling children or taking care of elderly family members or, taking on more work as a lot of companies have downsized, there's a lot of stuff that is visible, but there's also a lot of stuff that probably isn't visible to us. And, being cognizant of what other people might be going through that they're not telling you about and how that might be affecting their work and that extra workload that they're taking on mentally and emotionally and physically.
Oh, yeah. And I think another thing that also helps is to be vulnerable with people. So with my team members, like I try and I share also, what's going on in my world. And if I'm feeling stressed out or, what's affecting me. And I think that helps people to be like, okay, I can share too, and especially if I've done that before where I'll just message my team and I'll be like, hey, I'm like super stressed out today, or I'm just not feeling it today. I'm going to take the day off and, hang out with my family. And I feel like just that kind of sets the tone for them to also be, if they're feeling that way, it's totally okay. Take that break, take that time off for yourself.
Yes, I love that. And I think it's so important because, showing people that it's okay to have an outside life and, we do have things going on is so important. And I think especially now and before and after, obviously, but especially now it shows people like it's okay to take a break. And we do need that because that's kind of how we can, relieve some of the stress that we're all dealing with. Oh, yeah. And so, outside of all of this, what are the most, common causes of friction that you've seen at the workplace between teams or between colleagues?
Yeah, so the most common that I've seen is misunderstandings, miscommunication, and the big one is lack of communication. I feel like 90% of the time it fits in either one of those, like this, lack of communication, miscommunication. And this could be around like their responsibilities. It could be around what someone meant to say versus what they actually ended up saying. I feel like that realm is that's generally what I've seen it to be. The other 10%, I would say, comes under when you're actually dealing with somebody, like in the development world, some folks, and this has been changing, but some folks kind of come with that. I'm technically amazing, and therefore I can have any attitude whatsoever. You just have to deal with me, So, but I think that type of mindset over the past couple of years has been changing, and there's been we've been shining a light on that and saying that if you've got the technical chops, great, but you have to have the attitude, a good attitude, and like a good team mindset, to really go forward. And technical chops is not enough. So in fact, attitude is probably more important. So I think that there's been a high emphasis on that, but I would say that's like 10% of when you actually encounter those types of folks, especially in recent times.
Thanks for bringing that up because that is, important to highlight that it's not always that there's like issues between the teams, but it's more of a lack of communication or, problems with communication. And thanks for dropping the question in the chat, Marina. She asked, how do you start communicating that to that type of person? I'm talking about the latter.
Yeah. Yeah, about the difficult person. So I would say generally what I've seen, I appreciate, like I tell my team members, if you encounter that type of behavior, please come and tell me. I feel like as a leader, the organizations that I've seen in the past, if leadership allows this behavior, then those people just flourish. But if leadership shuts it down, then that has a big effect on folks, and they know that it's not okay and that this behavior is not something that this company or this organization wants to continue. And it's important to have like a collective mindset, be respectful of other people. Um, so yeah, so I would do that first. But if unfortunately, if like your leadership is not like that, and maybe they kind of like brush it under the rug, then you yourself, I would say, um, when you're dealing with that type of person, facts are the most helpful. So like if you have maybe some idea that you've come up with or something that you have to push back against, or some information that you need to extract from this person, I would say trying to do as much homework on your side as possible, gaining knowledge about whatever it is that you need to ask or something, and going through it that way. I've seen that those people tend to respond back best with like facts and stuff like that. They're like, okay, this person kind of knows what they're talking about, and then they'll generally respond back. But I would say that's really like the last, thing that you want to go to. Ideally, I would say bring it up to your leadership or to your management and have it go through them, because I feel like what I've seen, that makes a huge difference.
Can
Awesome.
I
Thank you
ask
for that.
a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Go right ahead.
I can't find this raising hand sticker here. Anyway, uh, if you don't mind, maybe we can kind of look into specific situations. And what I have on top of my mind are three of them. First one is how can you deal with the conflict at work in a situation when you are friends with your colleagues, but you need to manage them, and then eventually when your manager delegates you a project where you need to manage your friend, and your friend does not understand that, who does not understand that you is allowed, or you're delegated a responsibility to give kind of orders or delegate things to your friend, because your friend considers you a friend, so he or she thinks that you're equal, but at work you're not. That's first situation. Another one, that's what I've kind of experienced during my communication with my colleagues. Second one, that's the question from the mock interview yesterday. What happens if you have two executives, let's say executive A and executive B, and then executive A says you need to do this and this and this regarding this issue, and another one says you need to do the opposite regarding this issue, what you need to do, because it also creates a conflict. And then the third one, and actually the most important to me, when you work in a multicultural environment, uh, I work. I usually work in Beijing. I used to work in a organization that has all kinds of cultures combined, and they're all completely different. Uh, and what I mean to say is, for example, Chinese culture and approach to work and responsibilities and hierarchy within the company is completely different from what I'm used to as a Ukrainian that is used to work in a westernized approach company. And then there is a conflict because you're lost and you don't you used to work in a free environment where you can initiate things and you are and people listen to you and consider your opinion, as opposed to a Chinese culture where you have, let's say, a boss or the executive that is the one that decides and micromanages.
Got it. Okay. So let's start from the top. So your first was around, you have a friend, but you have that, your manager has given you the responsibility and that kind of role to be able to delegate tasks to your peer, and that peer is also your friend. So in that case, I would say this is more of a managerial task where your manager needs to make it clear to everyone on the team what your role is. And that should be very explicit. Like everybody should know that, okay, Paulina is like the team lead or whatever the role is called, and these are her responsibilities, so she can delegate tasks out to folks. If your manager has not done that or does not want to do that, I feel like that's like a different boat, but that would be ideal number one so that everybody knows.
That was the case, yeah.
Okay, your manager doesn't want to do that. That's the case. I would say in that case, that's more difficult. Then I think it kind of falls on you, unfortunately, to be able to say, and maybe this could be like something that you could start a conversation with your manager to maybe just write out like what your role is and what your responsibilities are. When you write that out, you ask your manager, hey, this is, does this sound correct? Within that would be the ability to delegate tasks or the responsibility to delegate tasks to my team members. And then maybe actually taking that and sending that out to the rest of your team members, CCing your manager as well, so that everybody knows that, okay, this is, this is where you're at. I feel like that might make it a little bit easier rather than having to directly go to your friend and be like, hey, this is what my role is. I think when you involve or CC your manager on that, that might be a little bit more official. And then your manager can also maybe at that time kind of be forced into that conversation to have that and let everybody know what your role is. So that would be my recommendation there. Do you have any questions or anything?
No, I think your advice is completely accurate. That's what's supposed to be happening.
Okay. And then the next one is like what you were saying with the executive A, executive B, and they're not agreeing on what an individual or maybe like a product, the features or something that they want within that. So with that, I would actually take kind of a similar approach. I would probably like write up an email and be like, executive A wants da 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 da, executive B wants da da da. If you have any opinions within that, like yourself, and be like, this is my recommendation, here's why. You can put that in an email, put them both in the email, send it out, and whoever else you feel like needs to be aware of that. And then, let them to come together and then, let them decide in that email. And then after that, like, or if you don't get a response or whatever, or maybe if you get partial response for one person, sending out another email, like, this is what I'm going to do going forward. You have, how about like, let's take until this Friday, to make a decision, and then, I'll move forward with what I have. And if you have any questions, let me know. That's unfortunate. That's a hard place to be. So, but yeah, that's what I would recommend there.
I was also thinking that it will be probably also nice if you are allowed to call on the meeting between these executives and also invite whoever you think will be useful and present some data and analysis regarding this issue, and also propose your thinking or vision. Yeah. So we can all together kind of agree and understand how we will be planning and executing on this issue.
Agreed. Yes, that sounds great. I think that definitely should work as well. My only recommendation there would be like, after you walk out of that meeting, send an email to everybody so that it's in written form. I feel like that written form in the past, I know for me, has helped a lot. So because I can always refer back to it and be like, this is kind of what we left off at, or what we agreed to. But yeah, and the other one that you were mentioning was around the multicultural, and you being from Ukraine, and then working with folks who are from Beijing. So my recommendation there would be to try and get a mentor who is on that Beijing team. Like if you find somebody there who you can be like, I'm trying to understand your culture a little bit more. I'd like to, just kind of, if I come across any situation, can I bounce that off of you to get ideas about how I should move forward? I think that should help a lot. And yeah, that's what I would probably do.
Nicole, can we have another event regarding how can we find a good mentor?
Yes, actually at the end of the month, I believe we're having an event about that, but definitely, Paulina, and hey, anytime you have suggestions, please feel free to reach out to me, because I'm always looking to make sure that, our content is curated to everything that, is important to you. So definitely, and thank you for that. I will definitely keep that in mind.
Of course. I've been thinking about exactly this mentor issue. Sorry for interruption. Sorry.
No. I appreciate you coming off of mute. That's what this is all about. It is always about everyone attending. I'm just here to fill the space in case people don't always feel comfortable. But Sabine, that was really fantastic advice about writing it out, because I think also, talking about communication, leads into a question, but talking about communication, I think it's important when you're on a team to outline these responsibilities, right? Especially when sometimes the responsibilities can get blurred, and this can probably lead to workplace conflict, right? Because you're like, I thought you were going to do this, but no, you said you were going to do this. And especially when it's not written out and you had a call about it, that's when some of this friction can come up. And so, how have you kind of mitigated these problems after this has come up, when something hasn't gotten done and everyone's kind of maybe pointing the finger and not wanting to take responsibility? How can you deal with that type of situation?
Yeah, so I feel like these type of conflicts, they're always going to happen. They're going to come up. You're going to miss something, right? Everybody's human. We're going to miss something. That's such is life. So when something like this comes up, my mindset for my team is that it's okay. It's okay that we made a mistake. I feel like I like to remind my team that we're all on the same. We all have the same goal in mind. We want our product to succeed. We want our company to succeed. That's what we're all here for. That's what we're all doing. So let's keep that in mind as we move forward, though. So let's look at what happened. If there was something, something that was missed, or maybe there was a bug that came into production. Okay, that happens. What can we do, or how can we improve our process so that in the future we find that bug earlier in the process, or whatever it is that we missed, we find that earlier next time around. So it's really important for me to make sure that my team has that mindset of improving the process and not being like, oh, it's your fault. Oh, it's your fault. So like, that's okay, because everybody's going to make mistakes every now and then. And that's all right.
Especially now, right? I mean, you got a million things top of mind and you're like, oh my gosh, that just slipped my mind, or you missed an email, or you accidentally deleted it, and then oh my gosh, you got to go back. Ooh, it is not easy. I've definitely tried to practice being a little bit more gentle on myself and being a little bit more forgiving, that, this isn't easy. Is exactly the easiest time for everyone.
Oh yeah, totally. And I found like within this, so for some of my teams, we've created like process documents. So we'll be like, okay, when we're doing a release, we have a checklist. This is what we're supposed to do. And then as we continue doing our releases, if there's something that we missed, we add it to the checklist going forward. So it's just, it's kind of a living document. And we've done that in a number of different places. So wherever we feel like we need that reminder, we'll create like a document or a checklist or something.
And are there any tools that you recommend that your team has been using that's been able to kind of help mitigate, making sure the processes are being followed? I don't know if you use Google Docs or Asana or any of those tools.
Yeah, we use both. We use Google Docs to like just create like those process documents and the checklist, and then we use Asana just for like our higher level features and making sure that we are in line, working towards the features and the goals and doing the tasks that we need to do. As far as a recommendation on tools, I mean, I like Google Docs. I like Asana. I haven't really found that like that tool that's like, oh, like, all my, everything's organized and everything's solved and everything looks good. So right now it's just that combination of Google Docs, Trello. Trello's a big one. I like Trello more out of those, but Trello's a little bit more for like smaller projects. And then let's see what else. I have some other like tools that I use. So I use Todoist just to help manage my own stuff and just organize things a little bit better. But yeah, if I ever find that tool, I will let folks know.
I would recommend to dig into Chinese tools. They're very, very innovative, very quick. Compared to Google Docs, it's just a different kind of experience, but also very helpful, very at the point. One of them is called Shimo. I don't know how is it useful to have it for your team as non-Chinese speakers, but maybe there is an English version. I did not learn this question, but I loved using it. I loved doing it. It's really, really cool. I'll type it in.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yes, Polina, I was just about to ask if you could type that in the chat for everyone. And I know that we're, coming up on time, but I didn't want to go away without asking this question. So as a leader, as a manager, if you see that there is conflict on your team and it's not finding resolution, how should you work with your team to diffuse the tension so that everyone can work a little bit better together?
Yeah, so that's actually something that has been really top of mind for me lately. So, I mean, the first thing that I try and do is that the folks who are going through the conflict, I try and bring them together, have a combined conversation to make sure that that miscommunication or that lack of communication feature, at least we're crossing that off, and we're making sure that we're coming together, we're talking about it, and I facilitate that discussion to extract, whatever. Okay, this is this person's perspective. This is this person's perspective. Let's bring it together. And so, try that first, and also another thing that I do that that I'm actually going to do. I've done that in the past in person. I've never done it virtually, but is a team building exercise. I feel like underlying some of these, what happens is that when something like this happens, it breaks trust within the team. So my aim is to try and rebuild that trust. And I feel like these team building exercises that are more around your personality. So it'll be like, I forgot the name of it, but there's an insight, it's a group, and they do like these personality tests. And then you come together and they'll kind of label you with a color. They'll be like, okay, you're red, you're blue, you're green, you're yellow, and it means different things. And then you come together as a team and they have a moderator and they discuss, okay, this is how this person works best. This is what this person is, this is what's important to this person, so on and so forth. And you kind of go around the room, then you do different exercises. And I think that helps folks understand each other better. And I feel like when you understand somebody more at a personal level, it helps to build that trust better. So yeah, those are my 2 small tips. There's other things that I also do. Like I really recommend folks to take breaks, which we also talked about. I think that really helps just kind of folks to lower that stress level and just be like, okay, I need a break. Let me just chill out for a little bit and then come back. But,
totally. Yeah. And then before we leave, thanks everyone for being on here. But Christina asked, does anyone have any recommendations for a virtual team building exercises? And I want to see if you had any.
I do. So actually, I have been researching that, and I can actually look it up. So there is a group called Insight that I just found, and they actually, but that might be paid. But there's, if you Google, there's quite a bunch of different exercises that are like for free, and I think there's like some tools and things like that that you can also use. But I can pop this into the chat. And this is the Insight one that I'm about to do. But yeah, I just popped that into the chat.
Amazing. Thank you, Sabine. And I want to thank everyone for being on the line. And Christina, you know, at Power to Fly, we have a lot of different events and do a lot of networking events. If there's any way that we can try and help you out, please feel free to reach out. We like building community and connecting people. And so let me know if there's any way I can help you. I mean, I know one of the things that we do is like happy hours, and we have weekly chats, a weekly org chat with the whole team. And then obviously we have our daily syncs with our immediate teams. But yeah. So I don't know if that was helpful, but thank you everyone for being on the line, and thank you, Sabine. It was a pleasure as always to have you here, and thank you to Paulina for coming off. Thanks for everyone for asking your questions and being engaged and everything. It was awesome, and I'm so happy to have you here. And on the question of building, cultural empathy, and that next Friday, we're actually having a chat with another mentor, and Vaishnavi, who will be talking about building cultural empathy, working across different cultures. So I just want to throw that out there, and please join us at other Power to Fly events and learn more about our mentorship program. And so with that, Sabine, I'm going to hand it off to you and let you send any last words.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just want to thank you for having me here, and this has been awesome. And thank you for all the questions that Paulina you've asked and other folks on chat. I appreciate that. And feel free to reach out to me. I'm on the Power to Fly, like in the mentor program as well. So you can feel free to reach out there, or LinkedIn if you have any other questions. And yeah, thanks. This has been great.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Have a great Friday.